it's Jonathan here again from GuitarTipsWeekly.com. Head on over and check it out. Today I'm going to talk to you about, what should we talk about today? Maybe some, I don't know, songwriting tips. How about that, eh? Just kind of basic ones. I'm not, not going to teach you how to write Beethoven's Ninth Symphony or anything like that, but a lot of people just like coming up with songs on their own, and hopefully I can give you some tips on how you can do stuff like that, right? So, one thing, good place to start is what chords are in the key that you want to work with, right? So pick a key, it could be any key. Let's pick the key of G. So, real quick and first off, head on over to 145.com and check that out. That's a good lesson. If you don't already understand the theory of 145 and how that works, then that's really going to teach you how you can, what keys go in which chords go in which keys and work together, right? And so that's a very valuable understanding. But here's a quick and dirty way that you can figure out chords and keys, okay? Now, to do this, you're going to need to know your bar chords, but and also your major scale. But let's take the G major scale, okay? And let's look at some of the common chords. So we've got our G chord, which comes off of that root right here on the 3rd fret. And then what's the second note in that scale? A, right? So we go minor, A minor. That's the 2 chord. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we got 1 is G, 2 is A minor, 3 is also going to be minor. So we'll go up here to the 5th string rather, and that we have a B there in the scale, so that becomes B minor. Now 4 and 5 are both major, so we'll do C major and D major. And then what else do we have? We come up here to an E. That's the next one, so we have E minor, and then F sharp, E minor, and then F sharp minor, and then we're back to G. So if I can explain this without getting too in depth, basically, if you give a number to every note name in the scale, starting with the 1 being your root note, which is in this case is G, then you can use the pattern to find out which notes are in your scale, and then all you need to know is that 1, 4, and 5 are major, and 2, 3, and 6 are minor. Okay, so that's kind of a rough idea of what I go over in 145.com, although I do it in a lot more detail. So how can you use that to write songs? Well, what I like to do is I like to pick a chord, for instance, that maybe, or a progression or something that's in your head. Today, let's just look at a kind of a chord that I've been playing with a bit. It's a C ninth, or C with an added ninth. And I don't know, it just kind of caught my fancy, I guess. It's got a nice, really mellow sound to it. The way you play that is you got a C here with your middle finger on the C at the 3rd fret, 5th string, okay? Then you've got your index finger here on the 4th string, 2nd fret, and playing an E note. And then I put my my ring finger here on a D note on the 3rd fret, 2nd string. Okay, so and you don't play the bottom string, the 6th string. So that right there, that note, that chord kind of sounds super mellow, and I just kind of start thinking about stuff that I could do with that. And so pick a spot or something that you like, and then think about what chords are going to be in this key, or what chords are going to be in this key. So if we're working in the key of G, and I've started on this C9 chord, what else do I have to work with? Well, I can go, I've got C, A minor, B minor, sorry, G, A minor, B minor, C, D, E minor, and F sharp minor, right? So pick one of those chords and play around with it until you get something that kind of, you get a progression that starts to work together a bit, right? play around with stuff. Play around maybe with a different picking pattern or a different strumming pattern, or holding on to a note for longer, like, or a chord for longer than you do with the other ones. What else can we say about this? How about spiffing things up with a riff or something like that, like a signature riff? You want to come up with a little bit of a signature riff there. So what do you have to work with? Well, back to our G major scale, and then I like to always work out of the relative minor scale. I find it works better on guitar. So the relative minor of G, I'm throwing a lot of stuff at you here today, is use the relative minor rule, which is go down 3 frets from your root note. Okay, so if root note is G, go down 1, 2, 3 semitones, and we hit E, and E minor is the relative minor of G. So we've got our E minor scale. All of those notes belong in the G chord, in the G key. Okay, so that means they're all fair game when we're trying to come up with a riff, or even if we want to play you know, come up with some more creative chords to use rather than just an E. For instance, when I was goofing around there, I was playing an E minor 7. And even if you don't know all your chord names, because let's be honest, they get really, really kind of bizarre, right? You come up with all kinds of like C sus 9 plus 6 or 6 plus 9 or whatever. You know, all these crazy terms. And, you know, I don't expect you to know that. And to be honest, I don't know most of them. Because there's like dozens of variations of every, like of a C chord. Dozens of variations, right? So, but what's a quick way that you can come up with something to kind of add to that chord that you're playing, make it sound cool and unique, and yet not knowing all of the really, you know, the dozens and dozens of chord names that we talked about, right? Well, I showed you the E minor scale here, right? So we've got that to work with. We know all of those notes work in that key. So why don't you experiment by adding some of those notes onto the chord that you're playing? Take an E minor chord. Simple little chord, right? Why don't we try adding on some of the notes from the scale and see what else we can come up with? That all sounds good, right? All I'm doing, you may not be able to see it because I'm not zoomed in really. My tripod's missing, so I've got it's kind of fixed today, I guess. But you can't really see it close, but all that I'm doing is I'm adding notes that are found in that scale to my E minor chord, okay? And I'm using my 2 free fingers here. You can see, I'm trying to come up with all kinds of different combinations, and they all sound good because they're all coming, those notes are all coming out of the scale, right? So you can use that to come up with cool chords, even if you don't know the name of them, and you can also use that to come up with your little signature riffs, right? So just play around with the notes in this scale and see what you can come up with, and try to augment your playing with that. So hopefully that was some quick tips for you on how to maybe write your own songs, or at least maybe write some additional parts to songs that you enjoy playing. But hopefully that was useful for you. Head on over to GuitarTipsWeekly.com if you haven't already, and sign up. We'll send you a lesson every week, and have a great day.